I told my coworker to discipline his kid, and it backfired.
Like an old jalopy.
I, 32 female, work in an office with my coworker Ken, 40 male, who has a daughter Esme, 15 female. Ken and I are friendly. We've worked together for a few years now, and over the last year maybe, I've been trying to open the door with something romantic. I was being very obvious, but it never went anywhere, and I thought that it was because he was clueless. By the way, this comes from Intention Salt 4788, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Dakota.
And OP says, a few weeks ago, Esme came with Ken's dad to bring lunch to Ken. It was sweet. She was polite to everyone in the office, including me. They visited for about half an hour before I went to take my lunch. I always come in and ask Ken if he wants to join me for lunch, and I knew his visitors were leaving soon, so I did the same as always. He said no, which is no big deal. Sometimes he says no, and sometimes he says yes. I asked if he was sure, and he said he was, and I asked, "Are you sure you're sure?" sort of teasingly. His daughter speaks up and says, "He said he's sure," and things got a little awkward. No one said anything, but Ken and his dad looked shocked. I said I was just asking, and she told me to take a hint. And then Ken finally told her to stop. She said, quote, "It's not my fault she doesn't understand at her big age." I ended up crying. We didn't talk for a while, and I steered clear. Last week, I finally talked to him about it. He apologized, and we talked a little more openly about stuff. Ken hadn't dated since his divorce 11 years ago, and he didn't plan to. He said he had been happily uninvolved. After some clarification, he meant 100% completely celibate. Didn't think people did that nowadays. Since then, and he didn't want that to change anytime soon, if ever. He told me he knows I'm interested, but he didn't return the feelings. We were okay. It was an adult conversation, and all went well. This is where things turned sour. I told him I understood, I apologized for pushing, and I asked him why his daughter treated me the way she did. He apologized, but he said she was protective of his choices. She knew that he was not interested in anyone, and he had expressed his discomfort around my flirting to his family. I told him that still wasn't validation for how she spoke to me, and that he needed to teach her tact, as ultimately I am someone being rejected by the person I had feelings for. She should have been polite and treated me with empathy. It was like his mood changed on the spot. He starts talking about how he prides himself on being a single father and raising a strong, intelligent daughter. I apologized immediately for offending him and said I just felt that she was brash. He ended the conversation, and we hadn't spoken since.
Yeah, of course she was brash. She's 15, and you're the woman her dad is talking about all the time, about being like,
oh my God,
this woman in the office won't leave me alone.
And you're there not leaving him alone.
Being like, are you sure you're sure? Are you sure you're He's sure.
Yeah. He's like, I raised a strong, independent woman. And you're like, and she called me out.
One of the worst moves I've ever read, going from rejected by your crush to immediately criticizing their child.
And in that, they're parenting.
Yeah. And being shocked when he's like, I'm not talking to you again.
I've noticed some people giving me the cold shoulder. Finally, I asked a friend what was up, and she told me that some people thought it was wrong of me to have said that to Ken. I left it alone and figured it would blow over, but I've had this nagging stomach ache since then. I think part of me is looking for reassurance, or maybe just laying it out in front of me to clear my head. I think I just need an outsider's perspective. Comment 1. I had vicarious embarrassment reading this. OP has some nerve lecturing anyone on having tact when she seems to be severely lacking it herself, as well as social graces in general. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if the celibacy part was his way of trying to gently let OP down because he just isn't into her pushy, overbearing butt. Another commenter says, "You're the a-hole. You continuously made him uncomfortable with your constant flirting, and his daughter finally put you in your place. You just didn't like it. It's not your place to try to teach him how to raise his daughter. Your inability to take the hint is your problem. She doesn't need to show empathy to the woman making her father constantly uncomfortable at work. It's been going on a year. How could you possibly not realize after all that time that he has no interest in you?
I mean, I agree with that comment, but also it's like, why? It was 15-year-old daughter. Like, no one's really being like put in their place. Like, if this was a 25-year-old person, it would be like, yeah, okay, let's learn how to like talk to people. Let's learn how to like,
But even
politic a little bit.
From what it sounded like, though, OP genuinely wasn't getting the hint, and all the daughter said was, take the hint, he's not interested.
Yeah.
And you're still mad. Like, no, I feel like some 20-year-olds would do that too.
No, it's just, sure. But then it's like, all right, maybe we're just like, we're becoming a rude person. But it's like, at the end of the day, it is true. It's like, stop hitting on my dad. Stop it. Stop.
Another commenter says, yes, you're the a-hole. Criticizing someone's teenage child was petty and offensive. She didn't say anything wrong, considering she already knew your advances make her dad uncomfortable, and she just said exactly what she saw. You did need to get the hint already. And honestly, you should have picked up by now, or at least left the ball in his court. If you're always asking someone to hang out, even if you break them down enough that they give in now and then, if they don't ask you in close to equal amounts, leave them alone. Another commenter says, you're the a-hole. You interrupted him while he had company. It wasn't cute when you asked a second time. His daughter does not have to treat you politely or with empathy when you are invading their private space. Don't be rude and people won't have to respond in kind. Another commenter says, you're the a-hole. Disgusting. It's like you're wearing a sign on your back saying, take me to HR in capital bold letters. Leave this man the F alone before it affects your professional career. We have an update, too.
I bet you it's going to affect her professional career.
Something tells me she's not taking the hint and leaving it alone.
Yeah, she's going to be like, so after I read all those comments, I decided to double down.
Okay, so I have accepted my ruling. I feel silly in hindsight that it took me so long to realize it, and I am literally sitting at my desk feeling like an idiot right now. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't surprised by so many people saying I was the a-hole at first. But after reading the comments and rereading my posts, you got me. I'm not one to fight for my life in the comments, but I was tempted. In hindsight, though, yeah, I was an a-hole, and a dumb one at that. Concerning Ken specifically, and my feelings for him, I'm realizing I was sort of dumb anyway. The thing with Ken is that he's very handsome, and I don't think he realizes how handsome he is, but I also don't think he cares at all. That was an attractive trait, but I think that knowing that should have been my first hint that he wasn't interested in dating. Also, Ken keeps to himself. He's very reserved and doesn't go out for drinks with the office, stuff like that. It was a stupid thing for me to go after a coworker in the first place, but for me to go after the hermit coworker, who is a devoted single father, was probably even stupider. I want to clear some stuff up. Full disclosure, I was ultimately the reason that this conversation got around the office because I told a few people about it and things spread. Ken is gentle, like Clark Kent kind of guy, and everyone likes him. So when anyone hears anything bad about him, an angry mob forms. Another thing, his daughter is really polite, all things considered. She's really shy and quiet, but she's very friendly. All the older ladies in the office adore her. She's one of those types. Ken did correct her when she commented along the lines of, Esme, that was uncalled for, knock it off, or something. And she did say sorry right away. So she's not even being rude.
Didn't even do anything wrong at all. And he immediately corrected her.
And she immediately apologized.
And then you were still like, you need to do something about that.
She still went and cried about it.
Wow. Yeah, I would honestly I'd be so done with you if I was Ken after this. I'd be like, all right, I'm just like not even entertaining your existence.
I hope the end of this is not OP being like, so I asked him to lunch again today.
I don't think it will be.
I'd never heard her speak so confidently about something as she did when protecting her dad. I feel bad now as I'm looking back at it. I'm sure it's uncomfortable for her on a lot of levels. She's got a point. At my big age, I should probably get it together. By the way, you can always get it together with full episodes of stories just like this Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts, and search OK Storytime.
Chapow.
Got a little bit more, but
yeah. Let's
should we just
I think we all know exactly how we're feeling. Yeah, let's get into it.
Lastly, I am not neurodivergent. At the risk of sounding like a knucklehead, I am just not used to being rejected. Frankly, I've never been in a situation where a man I wanted didn't want me back.
That makes sense with the handsome comments now. Being like, he's like so handsome. Like if I was him, I would date every woman on earth. But he doesn't use it.
Me.
Yeah, first I would date myself.
I figured he was either oblivious or awkward, but clearly he was just uninterested. Who knew? Everyone but me, apparently. Anyway, thank you everyone for putting me in my place and helping me see what was in front of my face anyway. I have no idea how I'm going to fix it, but at least I can see now that I was definitely in the wrong. That's the end of that story.
My boyfriend can't handle me going to law school. Now I'm ready to leave him.
To tell him to lawyer up.
I, 22 female, have been with my boyfriend, 21 male, for over 2.5 years, and for the most part, the relationship has been rather low turbulence in comparison to my prior relationships. We met in my sophomore year of college and his freshman year when I was only a few months off a breakup. By the way, this comes from user Clearly I'm a Witch, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Carly.
And OP says, I initially wanted nothing to do with him, and I was not willing to date whatsoever. My breakup had been truly awful, and I was just really starting to get back on my feet. He persisted for about a month before I agreed to go on a date. For the majority of our relationship, he's been incredibly doting and supportive, but I would be lying if I said that doting didn't spiral into obsessiveness and clinginess. The majority of our fights have been over the fact that I need space, as I'm a fairly independent person. I didn't want to be together 24/7, and he really struggled with that once the honeymoon phase was over. But eventually, he seemed to get better about it, and it was tolerable. As we've dated, I discovered that while he has a generous and kind heart, he can be incredibly immature. He can't manage to show up in a timely fashion for anything, can't keep a part-time job, and whines the moment he isn't entertained. I'm sure this is part of the current problem. Just lots of little immature and generally exhausting things to deal with. Once again, he's made progress in the past so that it reached a tolerable level. He is also wholeheartedly way too reliant on me. Stupid stuff like, should I go to the grocery store right now or go to the gym? And I'm like, why does my opinion matter? This isn't something I should have an opinion on. Because it's really not. What would happen whenever I refused to answer is he just wouldn't do either option and would lay around all day. It's ridiculous, annoying, and has been a constant problem in our relationship. I will lend that the majority of my friends and family love him. He's super easy to get along with, is always willing to jump in and help, and fits in really well with my crowd. The general consensus is that he comes off a bit immature, but he's always friendly and kind. My mom, in particular, is really fond of him, which makes this whole mess a bit frustrating. Right now, I'm 2 weeks into law school, and the relationship seems to be self-combusting. I've been wanting to go to law school for the past 2 years, and I've been incredibly vocal and driven about this. It's non-negotiable to me that I'm going and that this is a priority to me. He has always been incredibly supportive and very whatever you need, just let me know. Sounds great, right? But I had zero idea that this was going to be such an insane and rocky start. I spend probably 6 to 8 hours a day just studying, reading, and doing school-related things where I'm not checking my phone or social media. I just don't have the time, brain cells, or energy for it. When I go to school, I disable the Wi-Fi on my laptop and turn my phone off so that I can try to focus. I absolutely let him know that I was becoming less and less available out of sheer survival. I'm trying to make myself a future. I really am. Well, this is absolutely not going well on his end. In a 36-hour period, he texted me, "What are you doing?" 17 times. Every time, it's the same answer. Going to law school.
Yeah, it sounds like OP, it's not even like him. You just can't have a relationship right now, and you don't seem to want one either. So I feel like, yeah, break up with this man.
I ended up FaceTiming him and was like, this is unreasonable, unhealthy, and needs to stop immediately. He seemed to hear it, but a few days later, he's back at texting me several times a day to ask what I'm doing. Don't get me wrong, I get that I'm the one who changed here. I went from being available almost all the time to basically not available at all. I get it. It sucks. I'm aware. I'm also changing as a person because I have to be more responsible and more mature and more scheduled than ever before. But I'm also being very forthcoming about the fact that this is what I need to do to survive law school. I'm only a few weeks in, and this is really hard and taking some adjusting. Every day I get a better handle on things, but I'm still adjusting to the learning curve of just the giant workload. I physically and mentally can't be more available to him than I am at this moment. Plus, I just don't want to be.
Break up with him then. Like, I want to be like, you can't, like, at some point, though, this will come back to you of, like, you don't want to be with him. Stop stringing him along. Because he will get over it. You will feel more free. Like, if this is truly what you do not want, end it now when you know that you don't want it. Don't make him ride through all of you figuring out law school. Things finally calm down again, and then you're like, and hey, buddy, like, I don't think this is working.
You're so clingy. You're already like, yeah, he's just clingy. Super clingy and obsessive. Every time I've talked to him in the last 10 days, we've gotten into a fight. Great. Everything from a full-blown fight to passive-aggressive squabbles. It's reached the point that the moment he starts being passive-aggressive, I just say I have to go and I hang up. I'm so brain-dead that staring at a wall and doing nothing is actually relieving. I don't have the energy to constantly fight with him and deal with passive-aggressive comments. He's like, well, why don't you FaceTime me more often? Because every time we talk, we fight, or you annoy me about when is the next time we're going to see each other. On that note, he was not in class this past week and wanted to know if he could come up and stay in my new apartment for my first week of law school. I said, no, absolutely not. I genuinely am gone all day. I'm exhausted and I need to be making friends with my colleagues and adjusting to my new city and new life. This did not settle well, and he's asked probably every other time we've talked about when he can come visit. I genuinely can't even gather the free brain cells to think about what to have for dinner, let alone when I can squeeze in time for a visitor and the amount of pre-work I would have to do. I guess what I'm failing to get at is I'm trying to decide how long I should give him to adjust before I call it. Our relationship has problems naturally. I don't enjoy who I'm around anymore because the little things of his personality really get under my skin and it just makes me cranky. This is just becoming more and more irritating with law school and he's sort of combusting. Comment 1. We have some comments. Comment 1 says, take law school out of this. Say you're a woman of leisure. This is still nuts. Reply says, yeah, girl, nobody needs that kind of stress in their life. Comment 2 agrees with Carly and says, just call it now. I went to law school. Literally every single couple that wasn't already married broke up the first year except one, and they had already been together for 7 years. Even a few married people got divorced. Relationships do not generally survive the first year of law school, and all signs point to this one being on its way out the door anyways. Sucks, but it's going to suck more later. Comment 3, from another law student, end it now. It's clear from reading this that you're over it. Better to deal with the breakup now instead of being in the middle of exams or something. And there is an update, and I guarantee you there's a breakup in here.
Boy, oh boy.
Yeah, I think it's time to call it.
Yeah, I agree with that one that was like law school aside, like you don't like this man anymore.
I think, like you said, it started out like he was like sweet and thoughtful, but now it's gotten to a point where you're like, this is actually kind of clingy and makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And he needs me to be his executive decision maker. That's kind of lame. There is an update though.
Let's do it.
Update. If I missed your comment on my last post, I'm really sorry. I've been super busy with law school as well as my relationship. I decided to take a week to let things settle in even further. I made it explicitly clear that his behavior wasn't okay and we needed a change if this relationship was going to survive. Verbally, he was on board, but after 24 hours, it really fell apart. Tonight, I pulled the plug. It was hard and awful because I do love him, and I will always love him, but we are no longer in love. He asked me what I wanted, and I said I wanted him to be okay with less communication and be confident in our relationship so that I could be at school guilt-free. I asked him what he wanted, and he said he wanted more of my time, communication, and energy. Antithetical wants and needs out of both of you. Which is like no one's fault necessarily.
No,
but
I don't think it's either of your faults. And part of me like does feel bad for this guy that's like just so like, wow, I just love my girlfriend so much. She's like, we're not in love anymore, but clearly he's in love with you still.
His wants for my attention had nothing to do with what was best for me or what would make me happiest. That was really hard to hear, and we both cried for a while when I pointed that out. He understood, he saw it coming, and he didn't beg or fight it. We just cried. And by the way, I'm going to freaking cry if you don't listen to the full episodes with stories like this on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search OK Storytime wherever you listen. And you can listen to the full archive of our show.
True. He'll get really sad if you don't.
I will cry, and I'll cry a big bowl of tears, and I'll drink them all because I refuse to let you guys dehydrate me. Big bowl of tears, drinking it up. We have a little bit more story left. Yeah, I think we've hit the nail on the head a little bit.
It needed to happen.
No security in his relationship, this guy.
I hope he can find peace in the next one and learn to chill out a little bit with it. And I hope that you have a great law school.
Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to say thank you to everyone who reached out to me. Seriously, it made me feel like I was actually in control of the situation and not being crazy for walking away. Thank you for being a community that validates others' feelings and is honest and truthful. Now I'm going to go shower and watch stupid shows on Netflix. See, she would have had time to talk to him, but he's just too much.
That was my thing, is she would be like, and I do these other things, but I just can't talk to him. I was like, yeah, you're just worn out by him.
I think you're just done. Yeah, we have one comment here to finish it off. Sounds like the right result. Law school is no joke, unless you're studying clown law, especially if you're interested in corporate or big law or white shoe firms. The fact he didn't fight it actually shows maybe he wasn't so immature. You guys just had different needs from a relationship, which is fair. I'm not a text all day person when I'm busy either, whereas some people do it to keep them sane. Incompatible. Best to move on and be happier. And that is the end of that story.
My girlfriend asked for a break to focus on her studies.
Trying to get that brain big for you, big dog.
I'm male 40 who is 10 months into a long-distance relationship with an old girlfriend, female 38. We found each other on Facebook last March and quickly fell back in love again. She lives almost 1,000 miles away, so we've only been able to see each other once or twice a month in that time, but text constantly during the day and talk for an hour or more each night on the phone. By the way, this comes from Denver Redditor, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Dakota.
And OP says, we may have only been together for 10 months, but with our past history, in some ways, it feels like we've been in love for the past 20 plus years. I never forgot about her, and she says the same about me. We want to be together, but have that old-fashioned debate about who would make the move. We mutually agreed it made more sense for her to move up here to be with me. Due to the license requirements for her job, she cannot get a job in my state with her current certifications and education. So in January, she enrolled in a master's program that would allow her to work up here. It's a year-long program, and she's also continuing to work full-time. 2 months in, she's feeling overwhelmed with the amount of work in the program. She is having doubts about being able to complete the program and is very worried about it. She had to borrow a lot of money to pay for the tuition and obviously doesn't want the money to go to waste. Last week, we had several fights and arguments about different things, which is more than usual for us. She was apathetic about most of it, which only made things worse in my mind, as she didn't seem to want to even try to resolve things. Finally, this past Sunday, she told me that she needed to be selfish and focus on the things that mattered to her most, in this order. 1, school. 2, work. 3, running, which is her biggest hobby. That's it. I didn't even make the list. She said that we needed to take a break. Sounds and feels like a breakup, which is how I have been treating it and reacting to it. But this is where it gets really confusing to me. The next morning, after telling me she needs a break, she still texts me and says she wants to still be able to text me throughout the day. She had already told me before she couldn't text as much at work due to getting in trouble with her bosses, but she was almost always the one to have initiated texts when she was at work. We have still texted every day this week and have still talked on the phone each night, though the texts have been very infrequent, with her taking hours sometimes to respond to me, where in the past it was only a moment or two, and the calls have been much shorter and not nearly as warm and fuzzy as they always were. She says she still loves me, she still wants to be with me, still wants to move up here if and when she finishes this program and can get a job up here. We had a 2-hour-long conversation last night where we kind of laid it all out on the table. She basically said she just doesn't have either the time to include me right now, nor can she spare the emotional energy to maintain a relationship with me right now. She says this is only temporary until sometime in the summer when we can go back to normal. She seems to have the mentality that we had one break for 20 years that didn't keep us from falling in love all over again. She seems to think that we can just quit for a while, then go back to it. But for me, I can't turn my heart off and on like that. It hurts me tremendously that she seems so willing and able to cut me out of her life as if I'm just an appliance you can stick in the cabinet until you're ready to get it back out again.
Brother, you literally said it was like you guys didn't speak for 20 years. Whoa.
I'm so confused.
And you know that she's not doing that clearly because she's still talking to you every day. She's just like, I cannot show up for you in the capacity of like being a partner while also doing this thing, going to school for my master's, which by the way, started doing that for you.
Buddy, if she wasn't serious about you, she wouldn't be getting a master's to move with you.
Yeah, and if she really didn't want you, she would have ghosted you.
Well, hopefully maybe been more civil as a 38-year-old woman. But.
Yeah, but it's like, if this is, look, you're long distance, she's 1,000 miles away, and if she really had no intention of doing or keeping up anything with you, she probably would have just ceased all communications.
Yeah. It sounds like the only thing that really changed was she doesn't immediately answer you during the work day, and your calls are a little less, like, long and gushy. It's like,
yeah,
here's how my day was, here's how your day was, good night.
Now, you're taking it personally.
Yeah.
When it's like, the only thing you should be taking personally is the fact that she's still wanting to do this long distance while getting a master's degree.
I can't imagine going a day without talking to her, much less the next 3 to 4 months or whatever. I fear that when she says she's ready to go back to normal, that too much damage will have already been done by that point. That it will never be the same between us again. Last night, during our conversation, I told her that if time was her concern, I would give her all the space and time she needs, but still wanted to know that she is committed to me and that I wanted to at least be on her list, even if I'm not as high as work or school. She flat out just didn't respond, just said, I don't know, and that she's still worried that the emotional cost of a relationship is more than she can handle right now. Has anyone else ever been in a similar situation or known someone in this situation? We have an edit. Thanks to all of you for your comments and advice. Nobody said anything that I haven't thought 100 times by myself in the last 3 to 4 days. I'm going to begin the grueling process of moving on. Sucks because I thought she and I truly had something special. Guess she doesn't think so anymore, and one person can't sustain a relationship. We have an update.
Okay.
Should we just get into it a little bit, or
yeah,
you got
I
anything
mean,
else?
I don't know. It's just, I think it should just be clear. Like, do we like, is this just like we're chilling out and there's like less responsibility, but clearly our feelings are still there and we're just not acting on them?
I really want her side of everything too. Just to know, like, what was that communication like? Was it like if she didn't respond immediately, was he like, why are you not answering me kind of thing?
Right.
Like, was there anything that pushed her to kind of be that little bit extra? Like, we need to, like, how was she texting you so much that it was causing her trouble at work?
Right. I think that might be like its own wake-up call of like, okay, like I'm actually jeopardizing my work over this guy that I've, known for a long time, but he's 1,000 miles away. And am I doing this master's program for me or for him? Like, and I think it was probably just a realization like, actually, I need to be living my life for me first.
Right. And maybe she just had to realize that and she's good again. She had to start running.
I don't know. I think you might
I think
you might need to prep.
Update. Even though we kind of sort of broke up almost 2 weeks ago, we were still talking almost every night. Some of the talks felt productive, like we were making progress, but every so often she'd say things that just didn't make sense in context with what else she was telling me. In short, she was sending a lot of mixed signals. I even sent her flowers at work on Monday to try to be romantic. That seemed to make her happy, and we had some good talks on Monday and Tuesday. Fast forward to last night. She told me during the day that she was going to dinner, didn't say with who, I didn't ask, and that she might be home late. I asked her to let me know when she gets home because she has asked me to call her early enough for her to be able to get some sleep before the next day. Well, 9 p.m. rolls around, no word. 10 p.m. comes, no word. She's usually in bed by now, so I text to ask if she's home. No answer. 11 p.m., still nothing. I text again, no answer. Midnight, no answer. I text one more time. I'm having all kinds of mixed emotions. Is she okay? Is she asleep and ignoring me? What's going on? 12:15 a.m., I finally try to call her. It goes straight to voicemail. Her chat status shows available, so I know her phone is on, so I call again. This time, she answers but hangs up. She just got a new phone, so I assume it's an issue with her phone because she's still learning how to use it. I try again, she answers and hangs up again. Now I'm getting pissed and text and ask, "Are you hanging up on me on purpose?" She replies, "In bed, not alone." Bam, pow, yowza. The cobwebs are removed from my eyes. My heart sinks into my stomach. It all becomes clear. I leave her alone for the rest of the evening. I text her this morning and she actually responds to my surprise. Even answers my questions about it. I guess she was relieved to finally out herself. Turns out she isn't in love with me anymore. I know. Several of you tried to tell me this. She met a guy 2 weeks ago on a dating website. Apparently she's been looking for a while now, and they've been going out. He was her dinner date, and she let him spend the night. By the way, you can always spend the night with full episodes of stories just like this. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts, and search OK Storytime. There's a little bit more, but I mean, I think we all thought that maybe that was happening when she wasn't answering her phone.
Yeah, I think when someone tells you that they're going out to dinner and they might be home late and then they don't answer you all night, you can assume you know what that dinner is.
And they also, though, like, you didn't, like, I'd be like, oh, like, sick. Like, who you going to dinner with? Like, what kind of food do you get?
Yeah, no, but honestly, like, I'm sorry, OP, but I feel like most of this needed to be on her to communicate to you properly. Like,
yeah.
if you guys are having conversations where it's like implied she's gonna move states for you and like is getting a master's degree for that, is texting you so much she's getting in trouble at work, like whatever, you guys had feelings, and as soon as she realized like, okay, actually maybe that's not what I thought, and I'm actively looking for other partners, she needed to tell you that.
Well, yeah, she cheated. She 100% needed to end it when she felt the need to go outside the relationship.
Yeah, I guess I don't even know if it really feels like this guy was like, this is a long distance relationship and she's been operating like it's been a long distance situation.
Yeah.
It's like,
she was
this
more like,
thing,
it'll be a relationship when I'm actually there,
right,
kind of thing.
She's like, it's this crazy thing going on with this guy I've known.
Yeah. Unfortunately did feel like that.
Yeah, and y'all probably never really got clear on what it was. Sorry, buddy.
Sorry, dude. So all this BS about too busy and not enough time were just a big fat lie. She could have saved me 2 weeks of grief, not to mention the effing $100 I dropped on the flowers. If she had just told me all this crap before now, heck, I should have known the 10 months ago that this was going to be the outcome. Hindsight is always 20/20, but everything I knew about her told me something like this was possible. She had told me that she had cheated on both her ex-husbands. Again, I know, big red flag. I thought it was different with me. I guess that's just in her nature. When she sucked the life out of one guy, she just moves on to the next one. So my heart is officially crushed, and I'm going to be doing a lot of adult beverage consumption this weekend. I can't imagine being dumped in a more humiliating and hurtful way. No, buddy.
Oh,
That's not
buddy.
humiliation for you. She should be embarrassed.